All right, hey, I just wanted to check in because I finished another book. I finished the most recent book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and that is Book 7, This Inevitable Ruin. Holy damn. So, this obviously, every book in the series continues immediately where the last one left off. This is the 9th floor of the dungeon that they are in, so if you don't know of Dungeon Crawler Carl, then this obviously isn't going to make much sense, but they are finally on the 9th floor, which has been built up to this entire time. We've known that the galactic leaders have had their stuff kind of ready to go, and they've been preparing for a war this whole time, while our crawlers have been working their way up through down through the floors. So this was a big book coming, and holy damn, did it deliver. It really does feel like, it feels like the Infinity War of Dungeon Crawler Carl. It feels like Marvel's Infinity War. It's awesome. So it is a faction wars where one thing happened earlier in the series, and Carl and Donut got their own faction in the faction wars, and so did the NPCs. So the NPCs are actually starting in Larakos, in the center town. And there's like a center town, and then all of it's like pie pieces kind of coming out, and that is where all of the different factions are kind of placed. So they each have one on each side, and then one enemy on each side, and then Larakos, they're touching as well. So they spawn in, and they immediately got to try to get their ducks in a line. They open up some of their boxes like they always do. Carl ends up getting a new pet named Rend, which I can't remember. It was like Sir Rend. I can't remember what they actually named it, but they just call it Rend throughout the whole book. And he's actually on the cover right here. That is Rend right there. He's like a little meatball, and he gets bigger and bigger as he's destructive. He's actually a pretty good character. I don't like him as much as Mongo, but I do like Rend. I honestly don't want to go into too much in this book because I really don't want to spoil too much, because it's so fantastic. Honestly, like, you just got to get through the series and get to this point. It is so worth it. But there are so many emotional moments. I cried a bunch during this book, and I've been a little extra emotional lately, I know that, but this book has made me fucking cry. I think 2 or 3 separate times. One of the times was early in the book, and I cried hard. There's also always the Crown of the Sepsis Horde dilemma thing looming over Katya and Donut over this whole floor. It's finally here where only one of them, either Katya or Donut, can leave this floor. And the only way that person can leave the floor is by wiping out the Nagas, one of the factions, and only one can make it through the floor. But we do know that Katya has this orchid thing that she can eat to summon a goddess that supposedly might be able to offer her some sort of deal to get off of. It's sort of a workaround that they're trying to figure out, and it's looming. They're not really sure if this workaround is going to work or what's going to happen. So that's been there throughout the last few books, the last couple books anyway, but it's really strong in this book because we know it's the end of this floor is when it's finally coming to a head. But a majority of this book, through the center especially, is Carl and Donut really being warlords and trying to command armies, and they're fighting on multiple fronts. Carl's trying to micromanage everybody, almost to a fault, honestly. At one point, Katya even has a phrase that she says she doesn't want Carl to know the plan because she doesn't want him to Carl it up, which is fair. It feels like every time Carl's involved, some shit goes awry. But there are so many battles in this. It's such good fights and wars, major people dying throughout this book on both sides. It is fantastic, and I highly recommend Book 7. And if you've made it through Book 6, obviously you're going to pick up Book 7, because honestly, if you made it past Book 1, you're probably going to end up making your way all the way to Book 7, which is why I don't want to spoil too much for those of you who are just starting in the series, picking up Book 1. I know that Dungeon Crawler Carl is kind of having a big... suddenly a lot of people are aware of it within the last couple months, and that's fucking fantastic. It has gotten so big. And I'm just excited to see the series grow. I'm fucking bummed that now I'm caught up, though, and I have to wait till book 8, which is, I think, going to be called Carl's Big Boom, which is actually a reference to something he ends up getting towards the end of this book. Or Carl's Book of Boom or something like that. Carl's, something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but fantastic book. Phenomenal entry in the series. Like I said, it really feels like Infinity War of Dungeon Crawler Carl. Anyways, this book is awesome. I'm not talking too much about the story in this one. I don't want to spoil too much, but just know that it is phenomenal, and it is very, very worth reading the series to get to this point. And I can't fucking wait for book 8, whenever that's going to be out. But anyways, I'm sorry this one was a little bit more just kind of like me gushing about it. I literally just finished reading it maybe 20 minutes ago, and I just was like, I got to talk about it. So I appreciate y'all for watching, and thanks.